I had plans one night to meet up with a guy for dessert. We got to the restaurant quite late and they told us we could only get takeaway. We awkwardly glanced at each other and my date kindly offered for us to take the dessert back to his place. We got back to his house and as I started eating, I got an awful feeling in my guts. You'll note that prior to this date I had eaten a large frozen yogurt, a wheel of hot cheese and a spicy steak. I started feeling hot and sweaty and knew I needed to get to a toilet ASAP. But the conversation was flowing so well that I couldn't find a break to ask where the toilet was. Eventually there was a pause and I asked. His response was, "Which toilet would you like to use? The closest one or the nice one?" By this time I was desperate and asked for the closest. Huge mistake. The closed toilet basically came right off the kitchen. I walked in there and wondered what the hell I was going to do, since I knew what was about to come out of me wasn't really first date appropriate. Thankfully, after standing up and moving around, the feeling passed. I went back to the table and forced another mouthful of dessert so as not to arouse suspicion. Being the kind person he was, he offered we go upstairs and relax on the couch as it might make me feel better. I was reluctant knowing it wasn't going to fix anything but I really liked the guy so I obliged. We got upstairs and sat on the couch. He laid back and insisted I do the same. But I couldn't as the feeling hit me again, worse than before. I was awkwardly perched on the edge of the couch, sweating bullets and feeling like I was about to erupt. I couldn't ask to use the toilet again. It'd only been 10 minutes since I last went. I barely knew him, he'd know straight away what I was doing in there. All the while he was still insisting I should lay back so I'd feel better. I couldn't take it any longer. I told him I was sorry but I had to go home because I didn't feel well. He looked gutted, obviously he thought I wasn't interested. He walked me downstairs where we bumped into his housemate. I felt better standing up, so I stood and chatted for a bit. Then the feeling hit me again. I knew it. This was it, I'd used up my chances. I quickly said goodbye and turned towards the door. But it was too late, I couldn't hold it in. I casually wandered towards the door as I shit myself. I shit myself the whole walk to my car and for most the drive home. Once home I messaged my friend about what happened. I told her how I really didn't want him to think I wasn't interested and that maybe I should just tell him what happened. She bombarded me with messages not to tell him, but I did anyway. He loved it and we're still dating over 2 years later. I still like to remind him that I chose to shit myself over hanging out with him though.